When the new tenant arrived at Wildfell Hall, the whole village began to talk. Wildfell Hall was an old and quiet house on the top of a hill. The walls were dark, and the windows were tall and narrow. For many years, no one wanted to live there. People said the house was lonely and full of sadness. So when a young woman moved in with a small boy, everyone was surprised. Her name was Mrs. Helen Graham. She came in a simple carriage with only a few boxes and a servant. She did not visit the neighbors. She did not smile at the curious faces watching her from the road. She walked into the house with calm steps, holding her little son's hand. The boy stayed close to her, looking shy and quiet. The villagers did not understand her silence. In a small village, people liked to know everything about each other. They asked many questions. Who was she? Where did she come from? Why did she choose such a lonely house? But Mrs. Graham gave no answers. She stayed inside Wildfell Hall and spent most of her time with her son. Soon, a young man named Gilbert Markham became interested in her. He heard many stories about the mysterious tenant. Some people said she was proud. Others said she was hiding a secret. Gilbert did not believe gossip easily. He wanted to see the truth with his own eyes. One afternoon, he walked up the hill to Wildfell Hall. The wind was cold, and the house looked even darker from near. When he knocked on the door, Mrs. Graham opened it herself. Her face was pale but strong. Her eyes looked tired, yet kind. She spoke politely, but did not invite him to stay long. Gilbert noticed something different about her. She did not speak like someone who was afraid. She spoke like someone who had seen pain and learned to live with it. There was a quiet strength in her voice. When she looked at her son, her eyes became soft and full of love. As Gilbert walked back to the village, he felt confused. She did not seem proud or rude. She seemed careful. After Gilbert's first visit, Mrs. Graham remained quiet and distant, but her presence stayed in his thoughts. Days passed, and the village continued to speak about her. Some people said she was too cold. Others said she was dangerous. Gilbert felt uncomfortable with these words. He believed there was more pain than pride in her silence. One morning, Gilbert met Mrs. Graham while she was walking with her son in the fields near Wildfell Hall. The boy was picking small flowers and smiling softly. Mrs. Graham greeted Gilbert with a polite nod. This time, she did not turn away quickly. They walked slowly, speaking about simple things, the weather, the hills, and the beauty of the quiet land. Gilbert noticed how carefully she spoke in front of her son. Her words were gentle and clear. She watched the boy closely, as if her whole world lived in his small steps. It was clear that she was not only a mother, but also a protector. As days passed, Gilbert visited Wildfell Hall again. Sometimes he brought books. Sometimes he stayed only a few minutes. Mrs. Graham allowed these visits, but never shared too much. Still, Gilbert felt closer to her. He saw her painting near the window, working hard and patiently. She sold her paintings to earn money. She did not depend on anyone. One afternoon, Gilbert heard cruel gossip in the village. People said Mrs. Graham had left her husband. They said her child was unhappy. These words made Gilbert angry. He remembered her calm face and the love in her eyes. He decided not to listen to lies anymore. When he visited Wildfell Hall that evening, he found Mrs. Graham troubled. Her face was pale, and her hands were shaking. She had heard the rumors. For the first time, her strong voice became soft with pain. She told Gilbert that silence was her only safety. The world was not kind to women with secrets. She did not explain everything, but she said one thing clearly. She had left behind a life full of fear and sadness. She had chosen peace. Time passed, and the quiet bond between Gilbert and Mrs. Graham grew stronger. They did not speak of love, but understanding slowly filled the space between their words. Gilbert visited Wildfell Hall more often, and Mrs. Graham began to trust him in small ways. She spoke more freely, though her past still remained locked behind careful silence. One evening, dark clouds covered the sky, and a heavy storm began. Gilbert was at Wildfell Hall when the rain started. Thunder echoed through the hills, and Mrs. Graham's son became afraid. Mrs. Graham held him close, whispering calm words until his fear passed. Watching her, Gilbert saw how deeply she carried both strength and pain inside her heart. That night, Mrs. Graham finally spoke more than she ever had before. Her voice was low and steady, but her eyes showed old sorrow. She told Gilbert that her past life had been full of control and cruelty. Love had once turned into fear. Trust had become a chain. She said she stayed silent for so long, because the past still followed her like a shadow. She did not speak badly of anyone. She only said that she had learned a hard lesson: peace is sometimes worth more than pride, and safety is worth more than comfort. She left everything behind to protect her child and her own soul. Her words were simple, but each sentence carried pain and courage. Gilbert listened without interrupting. He did not ask questions. He did not judge. For the first time, Mrs. Graham felt truly heard. She realized that sharing her truth did not make her weak. It made her lighter. Outside, the storm slowly ended. The rain softened and silence returned to the hills. Mrs. Graham looked out of the window and took a deep breath. For the first time since coming to Wildfell Hall, she felt hope without fear. Gilbert stood to leave, but before he went, he spoke gently. He said he respected her strength and her choices. He promised that her story would be safe with him. Mrs. Graham nodded, her eyes shone.